Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC 229, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. We have a lot to get into, trying to make this not the longest video and show. I'm trying to at least cut it down, but I have a lot to talk about. Obviously the fight, and then the fight after the fight, and then some of your, your feedback on this would be great. Like I always say, I always answer all the comments down below. Like to talk about your betting side of things, what you thought about the fight, and what you thought about what happened afterwards. So definitely comment down below. I will be active there and continuing the conversation after this video. But if you have not yet done so, do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. It's a growing UFC and gambling channel all in one spot. So, also don't forget to follow me on Twitter at MrUFCVegas. I finally opened one of those. But before we get into all of the antics and all the things that took place, this is a betting show, so we want to talk about that first. And we will talk about our best bet play. Our best bet play was for purchase on WagerTalk. It was a $20 purchase. I appreciate everybody who made that purchase and continue to support me, this channel, and just growing this brand. So I appreciate that. Whether you're buying the picks, whether you've donated, or whether you've just consistently, like these videos and comment, I really, really appreciate all that support. So I appreciate all of the Fight Club community. But again, our bet was on Khabib Nurmagomedov to defeat Conor McGregor as our best bet play for UFC 229. And again, if you had made that purchase at WagerTalk, what you do is you go on there, you make the purchase, and you will get a write-up, which I'm actually going to take that write-up that I did for that event, and I'm actually going to post it into the description so you can read that down there. Also, I'm going to put the link to my, which I always do now, to my WagerTalk profile, and you can see when you go down below, you'll see where it says analysis. You click on that and you can see what I had wrote prior to the fight and what the people who purchased the pick received prior to the fight. So take a look at that if you want to really dive into some of the things I'm going to talk about now also about the fight. But really going into this, and before I dive into the fight, prior to the fight, I really liked what was happening at the press conference for Khabib Nurmagomedov. I really liked what was going on because very quickly, the fact that everyone knows you're getting with Conor at press conferences. You're getting creative, clever one-liners. He's going to belittle you. He's going to, mock you in every way. And really up in his career, throughout his career, people like, Poirier and Jose Aldo, you could tell that he was getting under their skin. You could tell the things he was saying, and people weren't really prepared for that as he was growing as an MMA fighter. People weren't prepared for it. I really like the way Khabib really mentally prepared for this. He knew, there were definitely things, and we will get into that it definitely got to him. But it did not change the way that he actually handled himself in the press conference. He was very, Conor being late, I think, gave Khabib on that last press conference an opportunity just to talk, just to not be talked over, not have to deal with Conor talking over him and saying things negative to him time after time after time again. So I thought that was interesting. Khabib answered questions for 20 minutes and left, let Conor come in, and then Conor wasn't able to really, get the onslaught of words that he was looking for. I'm not saying that changed any outcome of the fight, because it didn't. But again, it did, I think, help Khabib not have to deal with some of the things that Conor was ready to unload on him verbally. But when we get into this fight now before we had, we talked about, and you can read again in the description or at WagerTalk, you can read my breakdown on my profile. But the big thing for me here was the 2-year layoff for Conor McGregor. That was, without it, for me, that was a very, very big part of why I was against Conor McGregor in this fight. Now, I have nothing against him personally. I know people who, you talk to people, and even I had, whether I'm talking to people in the comment section or anywhere else, they always say, if you like Conor, you hate Khabib. And if you like Khabib, you hate Conor. For me, it's none of that. I don't get my heart involved in this. I'm looking to make money and trying to handicap a fight to find a winner. And to me here, the big thing was a 2-year layoff. And having a 2-year layoff and being in boxing and not really concentrating on crafting your MMA career, and the fact that, 2 years of, he turned from really all of his hard work, his winning 2 titles, and, again, he's one of the best in the world. There's no doubt about that. Conor McGregor is one of the best in the world. But out for 2 years, you make $100 million, you are, your star is shining. You may not be as hungry or putting in those extra hours inside the octagon or at practice or just in the cage or in the gym or whatever he's doing, honing his skills. Where you got a guy like Khabib who, had fought 3 times over that span and was hungry and is ready for the fight and is really looking, and his whole time he was focusing on Conor. He knew, as much as he kind of pretended that maybe, he's looking for the belt than Conor, he knew that their paths were going to have to cross at some point. And you look at the fact that Conor McGregor also, his timing is impeccable. His striking, his counter striking, his power, the way he moves his hands, the way he moves around the cage. Very, very timing on repetition and keeping those skills sharp. And for me, being out 2 years, I thought that was a downturn. I thought that would not be where he would be coming into this fight. He would not be that old Conor McGregor. He would be the Conor McGregor that now has $100 million and is obscenely wealthy and is just on another level and focusing on businesses and all these other things that he's doing, which is fantastic, is something that most MMA fighters want. But when you talk about in the cage skill set, that has to take something off of it. So I thought that him not honing his craft and continually and for him in his striking, he has to keep that sharp. He has to keep sharp. I'm sure he wasn't out eating pizza and cheeseburgers all day long. I'm sure he was definitely working, but when you're talking about really being ready to get in the cage, I thought that was going to be something to play against him. And in the way in that first round, Khabib had the greatest strategy you could have. He went in there and he did not come in there and just say, I'm going to strike with him, I'm pissed off. He stayed calm, which was exactly what he should do, stay calm in the cage. And all he looked to do in that first round was tire Conor. He played defense and just, I'm going to take him down and I'm just going to get him to work. And I thought it was really, and even people that I was watching the fight were like, he's not really hurting him. And I'm like, he's just trying to drain Conor's energy and then pick him apart later. And Khabib had said it time and time again, and it's not even something that's hidden. Everybody knows that's what Khabib wants to do. Take you to the ground and maul you. That's what he's looking to do. But he didn't even look to really maul him in that first round. He knew, obviously, Conor's dangerous. So he knew, let me play defense, let me take you down, let me wrestle you, let me tire you, let me pull down some of that cardio, and then I'm going to worry about second and third and fourth round and fifth round if needed to really concentrate on throwing more damage. And you could tell after that first round, it's not like Conor was, completely gassed. It wasn't, but you could tell it was a tick down. He didn't have as much pep in his step coming into that second round. And then in the second round, you've got Khabib. He drops Conor with a right. I mean, that I thought was unbelievable. I really thought it was. That was something nobody saw coming. That was not even something that was on somebody's radar, that he would be able to land a flush shot like that. And people really downplayed a lot of Khabib's really striking off of the Al Iaquinta fight. And that's something I did talk about. If you do go and read it on WagerTalk, my write-up before this fight. And my big thing was that people said, oh, Al Iaquinta exposed Khabib. Al Iaquinta exposed Khabib. It was just this storyline and this narrative that people really thought that was the case. And I rewatched, of course I had watched the fight like I always do, and I tell you guys, I always rewatch 3-4 of the past fights of the fighter that I'm going to be making as my best bet, and his opponent as well. And you look at that fight, it really was not as bad. I mean, people made it out like Iaquinta was just peppering him with shots all fight. Al Iaquinta landed in a 5-round full fight. He landed 27 headshots in the entire fight and 11 body shots, where Khabib landed 112 headshots and I think 10 body shots with 6 takedowns. So you take a look at that, and you take a look at the body of work in that fight. It's almost like when Khabib gets just hit, like just hit in the face, and not even hard, not even just a nice shot, people, oh, he's, and you even look at the Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson in that situation against Michael Johnson, people really talked that up too. Oh, the narrative was Michael Johnson. He really didn't take that great of a shot against Michael Johnson. I mean, it really was not as much as everybody consistently talked about that. They consistently said Al Iaquinta and Michael Johnson landed big shots. They each probably landed one. And, one really good one. I mean, Al hit him once, but that's going to happen in a fight. You can't not get hit. he's not going to just never get hit, but he was never in danger in either one of those fights. There was never a point where, you know, Ali Quinta was dominating the fight. There was never a point where even Michael Johnson was dominating the fight. Khabib does his thing, stays outside, looks for some shots, and then works level change and works the takedown. That's what he does. So that was such the narrative. And rewatching those fights, I'm like, man, you just hear it in every media outlet how dominating or how, maybe not dying, how good Ali Quinta looked against Khabib, and Khabib was exposed. And you could even see, even in the later rounds, Khabib just stood. Khabib just said, I'm going to just stand and strike with him. It could be also because Ali Quinta has great wrestling, but that's neither here nor there. But I wanted to touch on that because to me that was such a big part of the breakdown in my research when I was looking into this fight with Khabib versus Conor, because that was such it just kept going. And to me, I really looked at it, and you look at this here versus Conor, and Khabib was able to he was doing okay standing. He stayed very close to Conor throughout that fight. And people worried about that too. Oh, will he stand in front of Conor? Will he stand in front of Conor? You know, is he just going to be outside and dive in? Be outside. I mean, he had the pressure on, and Conor was backpedaling pretty much the whole fight. He knew he had to be ready for the takedowns. But once Khabib started actually standing and trading and boxing with Conor, that was when Conor kind of got thrown off. He was not prepared for any kind of standing striking. He was looking for maybe a quick jab, and then and Khabib is gonna lunge in. So I thought that was very interesting how he was able to drop a big shot on Conor. Conor did get up. I mean, he bounced back up, and he was able to actually throw some offense right after that. But landing a shot like that is just that clip will be played time and time and time again of Khabib dropping Conor. Although Conor got up, and I know a lot of people who love Conor will say, hey, he got back up, and he did. And again, I am not emotionally invested in this fight. I'm breaking it down, and I'm looking at what side I bet or what side I'm going to bet, and not look at it with my heart. We're looking at facts here and looking where we can place money. That's what we're looking at here at the end of the day. So listen, I am a Conor fan. Let's get that straight. I am a Conor fan. But after that second round, so he drops him, he mauls him. Third round, same thing. He drops him, he mauls him again more. And at that point, too, there was actually audio that came out where Khabib's on top of him and dropping bombs on Conor. And he's telling him, let's talk now. You want to talk? Let's talk now. You want to talk? And I mean, Khabib literally executed his plan exactly how he said he would. That he was going to, work him late. Work him for early in the fight, tire him, ground and pound, maul him, and then finish him. And then going into that fourth round, Conor did have, each early part of that round, you could see Conor coming out of the second, third, and fourth round. You could see him coming out with little energy. He came out with that little energy that he needed when he sat down, got a rest and came back out. He was dangerous even at that point. The first, minute of each round, he was dangerous, and there was no question that. But there was never a point where Khabib was hurt, stumbled, didn't look good. I thought he fought so well, and then getting into that fourth round, and again, Khabib said, there's a point, I'm going to maul him, and he's going to give up his back. And that's exactly what he did. He was able to choke him out, put him away, and even when he had the choke, you got Herb Dean like, hey, the fight's over. He's tapping. And Khabib held on a little bit longer to send a message, but just honestly a dominating performance, a completely lopsided performance where there's nothing debatable. There's no debate on this fight. There's no could he, should he have. I think if they fight again, it's going to be the same thing. I honestly hope that they don't fight again because I don't think this goes any other way. But that's one fight at a time. But Khabib gets us the victory. We now hit our best bet once again. Our best bet now is 25-10 plus 24.23 units for the year. Right around that 72% mark. Hitting our best bet with no best bet above a fighter. Betting on a fighter above minus 190. So we've had, plus 125. We've had plus 115 with Michael Johnson and Woodley, and we've had, Khabib now is minus 150. Bet that early in the week. We also had Thiago Santos, the one prior, best bet play minus 140. So looking for those value plays, looking for those spots where you don't have to bet a ton of money, but there's going to be value whether we're looking for a guy that's a little bit of a favorite, a little bit of an underdog. That's where we're looking to place our money, so we don't have to bet, a minus 400 where people are doing minus 400 fights, and listen, that's not for me. That's normally not for me. And for best bet plays, it's absolutely not for me. So there you have it again. Our best bet hit 25 and 10 plus 24.23 units for the year. There you have it. There's another winner for us here. And I again appreciate all the support from everybody who purchased a pick. Glad we were able to cash in again. Starting my WagerTalk career out pretty damn good, and happy we cashed in another big victory there. And we'll go over now what happened afterwards. And afterwards, really, to me, I mean, this is a fight that the emotions were there. Things that Conor said were slightly out of bounds. I mean, you've got him talking about the Noah and the how's Noah thing, which that audio consistently has been playing in all different media outlets. But, you know, talking about that, talk about his father, talk about his religion, his family, all these things. And it went from a Conor that, you know, would have these witty liners about how he's going to knock a guy out and, you know, all these things, how he would really phrase them, and these counter, you know, conversations he'd have and these counter comments he'd have off of something somebody would say, so witty off the top of his head, he'd come off with them. And it really has changed from Conor doing that to Conor really getting a little too personal. And even against the Diaz brothers, you know, against the Diaz brothers, it never really got too personal. I mean, yes, they're talking about, you make fun of his brothers being gangsters and all these things, hey, he's a gangster and these kinds of, but it went from that to all these personal things that it's just, there's no need for it. That's my opinion. And again, let me know what you guys think. You know, Conor really at that point, I know he was trying to really get under Khabib's skin and really say personal stuff, but it didn't bother Khabib prior to the fight. You could tell he was pissed. You could tell he was definitely, these are things that are not going to just brush off your shoulder. But Khabib, such a mentally strong person, not allowing that to affect him in the cage. He was not affected. He did exactly what he wanted to do. Now, after the fight, and you got a guy like Dylan Dennis, who is his jiu-jitsu coach, I mean, there's no reason for Khabib to even give Dylan Dennis the much attention that he's getting right now. I mean, now his name is everywhere. Everyone's saying, who is the guy that he, eagle hopped, and tried to swoop down and take out, which before, that's going to be the most iconic picture of the entire fight. You're going to have, that is probably one of the most iconic pictures. You've got him literally looking like an eagle. It was unbelievable, but great shot. But you got Dylan Dennis, a guy that, he's a nobody. He legitimately is a nobody, and he's jumping after a guy that has one fight in Bellator, I think he had, and he looked okay. I mean, I know he's a very established jiu-jitsu guy, but you're never going to fight this guy. You're never going to see him in the cage. It's never going to happen. There's never going to be a point where Dylan Dennis all of a sudden is going to be fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov for a title or at any point. So to give him this shot, I think was pretty stupid of Khabib to do. That was just to have such a dominating performance and then go after Dylan Dennis. I mean, very weird that he would do that. But then on the other side of it, Conor was going to go and help his friends or whatever was going on wherever Khabib went. And then Conor throws a punch at one of I guess it was one of Khabib's cornermen who was coming out also, and then they started jumping Conor McGregor. So it got so crazy in there that it really did overshadow the excellent performance from Khabib. And you know what? Part of me, I want to blame Conor for some of the things he said and some of the, it is, again, you can say whatever you want, I guess. It's free speech. You can say whatever you want. But in this atmosphere where it's a combat sport, I just think it starts to pull things in the wrong way. You've got a guy like Colby Covington, who was saying things about Brazil, and then all of a sudden, he was going to fight in Brazil, and there was death threats. They said he's not going to make it. We're going to kill him. He's not going to make it to the cage. And even Covington talked about that and said, you know what, I was getting scared. Like, I mean, he's a very vocal guy and a tough guy, and he's great at what he does. But to go that extra mile and start talking about things like that, it just gets too personal where people are going to hurt you. I mean, that will be the next step at a point where somebody's going to a group of people are going to physically hurt one of these fighters or are going to physically try to do something. Obviously one-on-one they won't be able to, but you get people with bats and start to swing at some of these fighters. I mean, outside of the cage, it just becomes such a stupid part of the sport where talking trash, getting under guys' skin, telling him you're going to knock him out, all these things are great. But to start talking about people's kids and family and father, I think is more out of bounds for Conor. He needs to more stick to what he's good at, the witty stuff, and inside the cage. It's great. It's fun. It sells pay-per-views. That's all great stuff. But when it gets to the next part of it, to me, it just starts to bother me, and it loses. And honestly, that was part of me where once I knew I was betting Khabib, at that point, I really wanted to, I wanted to see Conor lose even more, to be honest with you. I started to get emotionally invested. When I told you I don't, but that made me start to think, why? It's just starting to get too much. So let me know what you guys think on it. Let me know what you guys, do you guys agree, disagree? Whose fault is it? I mean, I hope Khabib keeps his belt. I hope he's not stripped of a title. I hope he is able to get back in the country and all these other things. I hope it all gets worked out. But when you got a guy like Conor McGregor throwing a dolly and could have really hurt somebody there and could have really been a bad look for the UFC if a fighter got smashed in the face and God knows what could happen. Hurt, major injuries, killed. Who knows if you get hit in the face with something like that? Who knows? But that was something Dana White quickly put on loop and plastered everywhere in every promotional video to show this. So there's a very fine line between, do you show that stuff? Do you not show that stuff? It is a part of the storyline, but do you want that to be now other fighters that are going to be growing up within the UFC saying, oh yeah, I need to do that to get some publicity. Yes, you always got to be a great fighter, so there's no doubt in that, but that's part of it. You just got to say it doesn't need to exist within the sport. That's my 2 cents on that. And then the last part, really quickly want to go over, was the Tony Ferguson free bet play that I had. Now, a lot of you guys were saying, why did I talk about this? It's a minus 300. I got it at minus 320. It got up to 350, 360, 370, depending where you were shopping it. To me, the reason why I talked about it, one, it's a free bet play, and it's one that I felt good about because a lot of people really liked Anthony Pettis. Now, there's a lot of people that were saying, I love Anthony Pettis, it's great, and the odds were a little inflated, no doubt. But the reason that I want to talk about Ferguson is because I really liked him just to win this fight. Again, the odds were not the greatest here, but there was value in Ferguson coming in here and beating a guy like Pettis who just has not looked great. We talked about it. He was 2-6 in his last 8 fights. So a guy in the downturn, a guy very much in the downturn, has had a great career. I like Anthony Pettis. I think he has been fantastic for the sport also, and off the cage kick and all these great things he's done. But I just thought that this was going to be a great spot for Ferguson to come out there and get this victory. It was a battle and a great fight as a co-main event to this great card. But Ferguson gets that victory, so it was a free bet play. We ended up getting that victory too. So we hit Michelle Waterson as another play that I liked. We also bet on Ferguson, and then also Khabib. I had the 3-way parlay. I had both of them straight, Ferguson and Khabib. So obviously most of my money was placed on Khabib. So it was all around a fantastic night of betting, able to cash in and win some money. So hopefully we will be able to keep this going. Again, the best bet, 25 wins, 10 losses, plus 24.23 units for the year. And the next card is October 27th. October 27th. So hopefully we will be able to, at that point, get everything back out to you. And hopefully at that point, you guys will be able to purchase the next best bet play, be a part, subscribe, get involved with the comments, like this video. The more that you guys do that, the more it helps this channel grow. And again, we're here as a community to beat those bookies and cash in some of those winning tickets. So there you have it, guys. Check me out at WagerTalk. Again, the breakdown for this fight prior to the fight, which the people who purchased the pick got. That's down in the description, as well as the link to the WagerTalk, my WagerTalk profile as well. So there you have it, guys. Didn't mean to make it this long of a bet review show, but a lot to cover just because of these antics that happened. And let me know what you guys think. Comment down below, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.